of why this election matters, why it should matter for all people of conscience in this country. There is so much at stake in this election.
Their financial resources are virtually unlimited. Their political resources are unlimited. Their media resources are unmatched. And most importantly, the depths of their immorality is absolutely unlimited.
Welcome back to The World Over. That was First Lady Michelle Obama and Donald Trump, both invoking morality this week. Trump has been engulfed in a controversy surrounding lewd comments made 10 years ago and a succession of accusers who have come forward in the last few days. Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, has her own share of difficulties. WikiLeaks email dumps reveal media manipulation in her campaign and a healthy dose of anti-Catholicism among her lieutenants. Here to analyze it all is former Republican National Committee Chairman and current political analyst for MSNBC, Michael Steele.
Good to be back in the house, man.
Always good to have you in the house.
Thank you.
I want to start with Michelle Obama capitalizing on the Trump videotape and the scandals that have surrounded it. Watch.
I know it's a campaign, but this isn't about politics. It's about basic human decency. It's about right and wrong. And we simply cannot endure this or expose our children to this any longer. But if we have a president who routinely degrades women, who brags about sexually assaulting women, then how can we maintain our moral authority in the world?
Does this work? Do you think women are listening to this and heeding this?
I think they are. I think, the problem with these current revelations, unlike what we've seen in the past, these are actually the candidates saying the words. So the impact is a lot different as opposed to, I heard someone say, Donald said this.
Right.
Now you're actually hearing him saying it. So you can then, what Michelle Obama's doing, juxtapose a moral authority, if you will, saying, how dare you with your nose in the air. But the reality of it is, it doesn't translate politically necessarily. People may agree with the moral outrage, but this election has never been about that. Because if it were, Donald Trump probably wouldn't have been the nominee, given some of the things he's already said and done over the last 15 or so months. So there's something else at work.
It's not like he was a choir boy during the primary and saying, "Oh, I love you, little Marco, I love you, Lion Ted."
Right.
I mean, he was affixing,
that's it.
play
So
yard
this
names
is something
to these
else.
guys.
This is something else. But this works for the Obamas. This works to sort of take that sort of high tone with someone like Donald Trump. And you can hear it when they say the things that they say about, how outraged and how beneath all of us this really is.
You see, my problem with it isn't that people shouldn't be shocked or appalled by the comments.
Right.
They should and they are.
Yes.
However, we are in a culture, and, not to disparage the First Lady, but, the First Lady's in the front row of the Beyonce concerts when she's, doing what she does.
Exactly.
I don't have to paint the picture. You've seen the Super Bowl. We've got a country that has bought 50 million copies of 50 Shades of Grey. They don't exactly refer to women as, treasured commodities or
that's the
something
part
to be revered there.
That's the part of this that I find a little bit disingenuous, because they talk about Mr. Trump in the context of objectifying women, and yet everything in our culture does exactly that.
Precisely.
In so many different ways. So, I get it. The stuff that you like that objectifies women is okay, 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
But when he says, does locker room talk, in a private conversation with someone just happened to be mic'd up for, then you have moral outrage. And I think that's where a lot of people, particularly a lot of Trump supporters, are sitting there scratching their head going, what?
Yeah, well, moral outrage is good as long as it applies to everyone.
Everybody, exactly.
Let's go to this. This is a rally in Florida on Thursday. Trump went full frontal against these attacks. Watch.
These vicious claims about me of inappropriate conduct with women are totally and absolutely false. And the Clintons know it, and they know it very well. These claims are all fabricated. They're pure fiction, and they're outright lies.
These events never, ever happened.
He went on to say that there's collusion here between the media and the Clinton campaign, and this is all coordinated. Does this work?
It does work for his base support. It does finish out or sort of follows a narrative that you hear inside the GOP about the press writ large, how biased they are, and how much they selectively choose what stories to air or what stories to reveal, and how they do that. But here's the problem. When Donald Trump makes a statement like that, it then invites more investigation. It then invites others to go, oh, really? Well, let's go to the videotape.
Right. Well, it's just like the Anderson Cooper setup line.
Exactly.
Have you ever done that? But have you ever acted on those words?
Right.
And
exactly.
I said, oh, watch.
Here we go. Here we go. So that's the problem. And again, I expect that there will be more. There will be more off-mic moments. There will be more people coming forth and saying this or that thing happened. All that really does is further polarizes the electorate, because there is a growing chorus of folks out there who believe that all of this, as you made clear, is part of an ongoing setup. This is all part of what the Clinton machine, coupled with a biased media, is all a part of what they're planning to do.
Now, there's another turn in this strategy that I found interesting, because Trump is trying to cast himself as the ultimate outsider.
Yes.
He started tweeting on Tuesday regarding party loyalty. Here's what he said: disloyal R's, Republicans, are far more difficult than crooked Hillary. They come at you from the sides. They don't know how to win. I will teach them. Then he spoke out at a rally against Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. Watch.
Instead of calling me and saying, congratulations, you did a great job, you absolutely destroyed her in the debate, like everybody said, wouldn't you think that Paul Ryan would call and say, good going? You'd think that they'd say, great going, Don, let's go, let's beat this crook. She's a crook, let's beat her, we got to stop it. No, he doesn't do that.
Now, does this work? I mean, he's clearly using all of this to say, look, I'm not like them.
Right.
Does he need the establishment? Does he need support?
Actually, he's shown that he doesn't, which has been one of the great frustration for many of the folks in Washington. This has been one of the campaigns that I'm telling you will be studied and examined for generations, to see and understand exactly what he did. He came in through the Republican door and then just blew the place up and went out the back door, right? and everybody's sitting there going, what happened?
Right.
And the reality of it is he's taken politics, and what he's done is he's brought reality television into it. So a lot of his language is the language of those folks who watch reality TV. Everyday Joes and Janes out there who, when they get off from work, settle back and watch, Housewives of Atlanta or whatever show happens to be on.
Now, in fairness to Trump, he's reacting to Paul Ryan, who said, look, I'm not going to defend him. I'm not going to go appear with him.
Right.
And he told his caucus, you're on your own. You can say what you want against Trump or support him.
But
There's
here's
no
the problem for
party
Paul
line.
Ryan. Paul Ryan should have completed the sentence at that point and said, and I withdraw my endorsement.
But he didn't.
But he didn't do that. And so that again gave Trump more of a hammer to use, because now it looks like, okay, so you're going to be with me when you want to be with me and against me when everybody else says you shouldn't be. And that furthers that narrative, that anti-establishment narrative that Donald Trump has been expert at.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this plays.
Oh, my gosh.
I know it consolidates the base. Does this appeal to people beyond the base, being the ultimate outsider? I'm not owned by the Democrats or the Republicans.
That's a good question, Raymond, because politics is all about addition, not subtraction. And that's true for Hillary, and it's true for Donald Trump. Hillary, her addition is getting that Obama coalition to come back and to stay with her. And as we've seen, she's having a problem with African Americans. She's at 72, 73% of that vote. She's having a problem with women. 44% of white educated women in recent polls say they're firmly for Hillary. So she's having a problem with her addition. Donald Trump clearly has a math problem, not just with the blue wall that exists out there in the Electoral College, making it more advantageous for Democrats than Republicans to win the White House. But he also has the problem with various constituencies, whether it's African Americans, Hispanics especially, where his numbers aren't strong.
I want to go to what Catholics is the big news of the week, and that's these WikiLeaks emails that have been dribbling out. Most of them are coming from John Podesta. Now, he is head of the Clinton campaign, chairman of the Clinton campaign. Now, it was discovered that Clinton's communications director, Jennifer Palmieri, and a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, John Halpin, exchanged emails that mocked Catholicism. Here are a bit of their exchanges. John Halpin writes, "It's an amazing bastardization of the faith. They must be attracted to the systematic thought and severely backwards gender relations and must be totally unaware of Christian democracy." Jennifer Palmieri responds, and they're talking about Rupert Murdoch, the chairman of News Corp. "I imagine they think that it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals." Halpin responds, "Excellent point. They can throw around Thomistic thought and subsidiarity and sound sophisticated because no one knows what the hell they're talking about." This was a commentary on Rupert Murdoch, who's a convert to Catholicism, baptized his children in the Jordan, and they're ridiculing him.
Yeah.
What does this tell you about at least the sensibilities of some of the leaders in the Clinton campaign?
It tells me a lot about how in politics constituent groups are taken for granted, and you can be dismissive of them, and yet you will get in front of them and tell them how important they are to you, when the reality is what we just read. Christian democracy, I mean, you're sitting there, you're scratching your head saying, how uppity, how highbrow of you, with your nose looking down on Catholicism, thinking you're smarter than us in so many ways. And I think that attitude is pervasive. And yet you have this, in politics, this sort of veneer that's created to make it feel like, oh, you're part of the team, when you're really not.
Do you buy this argument? Palmieri came out, even Donna Brazile, my pal from New Orleans, came out and said, these are Russian emails. The Russians are doing this. We can't trust anything here. They will neither confirm nor deny the veracity of these emails.
That's just a load, okay? Just the bottom line is, it doesn't matter who hacked the server to get the email. The email is the email. All right, and so if you know,
the ink is spilled.
Well, that's right. They're spinning this line that these were tampered with. Why would the Russians create that conversation? Oh, I mean, what are the odds that you even going to take this particular exchange and say, well, let's throw a little Thomistic theology into this.
We'll call them backward gender relations.
Right. So it makes no sense. But again, it tells you how arrogant they can be in how they look at very constituent groups.
Now, Donald Trump and his running mate Mike Pence jumped on these email revelations from the stump.
The new emails also show members of the Clinton team viciously attacking Catholics and evangelicals. Did you see that? No, the press doesn't want to report that one. That could be election changing. It's just the latest evidence of the hatred that the Clinton campaign has for everyday faithful Americans. If you're a person of faith, I think you're going to vote for Donald Trump.
If only on behalf of her Catholic running mate, Hillary Clinton should denounce those bigoted, anti-Catholic, anti-evangelical remarks, and her campaign staff should apologize to people of faith and do it now.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, I find it amusing because the thing about the Clintons is they're trying to project this whole new image about her and her relatability to the world, and yet she goes out and calls half of Donald Trump's supporters, half of a lot of Americans, deplorables, and then and not worthy in many respects. And then you have this by her staff and how they talk about Catholics and evangelicals in a very dismissive way. So it furthers his narrative that these individuals in the Clinton campaign are hostile towards you. They are not respectful of your views. They're not respectful of your faith traditions. They mock your gods and gun. That kind of idea is a very powerful one. Now, if Trump can just step off of his own train of crazy from time to time, and stop focusing on the stuff that's distracting his campaign and draw out these comparisons to show exactly from a philosophical perspective as well as a political one the differences between the two candidates. I think he'd be more.
Well, I think the far more devastating batch of emails was the other Podesta exchange with this left-wing activist, where they talk about there needs to be a Catholic spring where seeds of revolution can be planted in the church, and Podesta tells them, "Don't worry, we've already got these groups. One is Catholics United. The other is Catholics in Alliance for the Common Good. But they need new leadership. But they're there. They're in place." I think that's far more destructive, this idea that you have politicos creating organizations to be pods that will explode later within a body of faith to change the teachings and belief of that faith.
I absolutely agree with you, and I'm glad you pointed that out because it is one of the more incendiary aspects of the email exchanges, and I'm sure that there will be more that are going to connect to that in some way. And again, for me, the Trump campaign, those out there who are questioning this election and where they're going to stand need to look at this fresh evidence and then weigh it for what it really is. This is about a group of people who are talking about the undermining of a faith tradition in this country. And I cannot think of anything more diabolical than planting seeds like that to spring up later on.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you two quick questions. One, you were the former RNC chairman. You know how this works. There is a report in Politico that the Republican National Committee has not spent one dime on ads for Donald Trump this campaign season. Now, they spent $42 million on Mitt Romney, $53 million on John McCain. What is up? What does that tell you?
The problem has been fundraising. A lot of the major donors who made up that $43 and $52 million of 2008 and 2012 have not given this time around, or they have given to as a result of Citizens United, they've given to 527s that are more directed at the Senate races or the congressional races. So the RNC has had to find this balance where they can go out and try to raise some of this money, but they can't raise it at the same level that would make those ad buys worth it.
Now, the Virginia offices of Donald Trump today, on Thursday, closed down. He shut down all of his offices in Virginia. That tells you what? Is he ceding the state?
It's probably ceding the state. In many respects, there were recent reports of trouble with a lot of the leadership in Virginia. So I think he's probably just going to sort of pile drive his way through the state and hope that a base vote turns out to some degree.
Okay, you look at these national polls, and then I'm running out of time, but I'll get this fast. When you look at the LA tracking poll, they see this now as a tie. The Rasmussen reports has Trump up 2 points, but Bloomberg has him down by 9. Your thoughts, where are we, and what in your gut are you feeling?
I think right now this is Hillary Clinton's probably up comfortably with about 6 or 7 points. Donald Trump, coming off of this week, we'll have to take a look and see how this all settles in with voters. But I think if you average out the nationals, you look at what's happening on the ground, he's about 7 down, still within striking distance of making this a competitive race in the last 25 days of the campaign.
Oh, amazing. We'll keep our eyes on it.
Michael
Steele, thank you for being here.